Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one ring, let we rule them all. Hope people remember your thoughts. Get your Uru hammers and your Middler guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel if it will get you to count. To the pit, tank. To the pit, tank. The Rocky Mountain pit tank.
Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy,
Hi, I'm Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.
your copy, cut, paste size podcast.
And this is Geek Tank.
I
We just pasted it twice there, just for you.
Yep. I only say that because I'm pasting in the private chat the links to all of our sites so it can be boosted.
So today, we have no idea what we're talking about, which is completely different than the last time when we had no idea what we're talking about.
Well, until this weekend, I figured we'd talk about Thanksgiving stuff, but now this weekend, I figured we at least should say some people suck.
Yeah.
So
we should say that, definitely.
All three of those viewers are me, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah, or at least it was.
To get rid of the rough edges on my fingernails because they're starting to really bother me.
Bother you?
Yeah, people suck. So
Yeah.
there. And that is the end.
I don't know if the two of you are up on it or not. But Colorado Springs, there's a club shooting on the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't miss it, I don't think. I think because so many of our mutual friends are outraged.
I've had days where I've not been on Facebook at all.
Oh, yeah. And normally I would agree with you. I'm not opposed, but you know.
But it's just one more in a long line of people having guns who shouldn't have guns. And
this one, he triggered the red flag laws, but they didn't enforce them.
No. And a lot of gun proponents will say the laws are just fine, they're just not being enforced, which to me means there's something wrong with the laws if they're not being enforced.
Right?
It is the executive, the execution of enforcement of the law.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that's the exact thing we're looking for, which is, you know, trigger a red flag and you shouldn't have a weapon, and that makes total sense. And you know, I don't know how that is ever. The problem is that people are afraid that, you know, you will do something silly and end up getting on the red flag, and then you have to lose your guns.
That's one of the arguments, is that, or that the red flag ability will be abused by, like, someone's ex will falsely report them to get them red flagged, so then that they can no longer own firearms. That it's kind of, to me, the root of the problem is the mentality that some people get, that it's mandatory for their safety.
Yeah.
And they're afraid. They're afraid if they don't have that, then they are greatly at a disadvantage, although they'll probably go their entire life and never have needed it. So,
right. I mean, like, legitimately, my dad had like 62,000 zillion guns. I mean, not really, but he had a lot. And the reality was he never used them in a home invasion. There was never a home invasion. We've never had a home invasion.
Well, was there any point at all that the gun came into play to keep him from being in danger by another human?
No, worst thing was he was attacked by that berm over there that he shot at a lot. You know,
the gazebo
berm of doom with paper targets. I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't home invasions. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but
if none happen, then there wouldn't be any basis for people to build off the fear that it could happen.
Exactly.
So hello there, Newbie Ryu. Nobi Ryu.
That's Brent.
I know.
That's Brent on Twitch. This is Brent. This is Brent on Twitch. Yeah. Any questions?
But yeah, this is one of those that we are not going to see a solution in our lifetime, I don't think.
No, we're not. And we're going to see a lot more of these in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Until this gets figured out and squared away. There is a way to make this work.
Well,
Just
the first impossible step is to get completely free healthcare for everybody. And then the next impossible step is to completely demonize mental health care and get everybody who needs mental health care to go get their brain checked out.
right. I mean, I actually have a psychiatrist. I love her. She is awesome. She is really fun to talk to. It is a good thing to have. It has made me feel a lot better about me, and frankly has made me think a lot more about what I do and how I do it. But it also gives me a lot more forgiveness whenever I just do something goofy and ADD. You know, before I'd get really stressed out about it and it'd freak me out. And now I'm like, hey, just totally messed that up. I'm sorry. You know, it's not that big of a deal anymore. But before it was like, I can't, if I back down on this, you know, then I'm admitting that I'm a horrible person or something. I don't know. There was something, whatever was the story. I can't even figure it out. But it's nice now. It's like, now I'm like, nah, that was just a weird ADD blip. Sorry. You know, nothing. Really helped destigmatize that whole thing in me.
Cool.
And I wouldn't consider myself broken or anything like. I mean, like, I don't need serious help. I've never been in a combat situation. I don't have PTSD. I've never been. I wasn't an abused child. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of trauma things in my life that, you know, I consider myself relatively, you know, normal, if you will, normal, whatever that normal is. But the point it really kind of getting to is it was still very beneficial. And it's been very helpful working through things. And I think all of us need it, you know? I think everybody could use a psychiatrist, you know?
Well, especially there's that generation, and it's spanned because, of course, it's passed down from generation to generation of the people telling that men aren't allowed to show any emotion except for anger.
Mm-hmm.
And those people could definitely use someone to help them learn that that's incorrect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's brutal. That's a tough one. There's a lot of we had a culture for a very long time of ridiculing people when they were out of the norm, and that was pretty much what PC culture was striking at directly. Was the, you know, if you're not what I construe as normal, I get to ridicule you, I get to abuse you until you get back in line, until you feel uncomfortable enough that you fall back in line. And, you know, PC culture broke that up. That was the whole point of it. You weren't allowed to start just ridiculing people until they came back into line. And, you know, people who did use that tactic got very upset about PC culture because, you know, they thought it was, we're not allowed to say any words.
Well, that's what they tried to twist it into, because they were ashamed for getting called out for being horrible people. So they tried to make being PC to be the evil of that. Right. Just like the way they're turning it around to the, what's the word I'm looking for? Woke. The way woke's being turned into kind of a thing. And there's another term too that is escaping me right now.
SJW.
Yeah, that would be the one.
Social justice warrior.
As though social justice is a bad thing.
Right.
Right. It's bad to fight for social justice after all.
But what's so, well, and of course, if you actually ask, and I have, ask in a reasonable voice, what's the story behind this? You get something that actually can make some sense. And it's never that social justice is bad. It's throwing the baby out with the bathwater sort of thing. You know, that's the concept that they've got. It's not that people fighting for social justice is a bad thing. It's that when they fight for social justice, they end up accidentally oppressing white people, sort of effect. That's the thought process that they have. And so, and I mean, so it sounds reasonable it does sound like, oh, okay, at least I can see where you're coming from. I don't agree, but I can at least see where they're coming from. So that's a thing. I mean, it's kind of, I get it. I don't agree with it because I don't think that that's a thing that needs to happen. And, it's still, we've got so much stuff that we still need to, screw up, unscrew, that I don't think there's ever too much of that. But I can see it. If you no longer have the privilege, that's a thing.
Yeah. Taking
you
away
could feel
privilege
that,
status feels bad.
right? And whenever you're like, oh, I'm no longer privileged, you don't want to say, my problem is I don't have the privilege anymore, because that's bad. So you pin it somewhere else.
I used to get
transference. Thank you.
I'm only going to start on second base instead of third base.
I used to get to cut in line. Now I got to stand in line.
Right. And if you're the kind of people who you're like, oh, good, finally. I mean, like, I was cool with that to begin with, so let's just get working on that one, then it doesn't seem to bother you as much, because I'm like, cool. I don't have to stand in the front of the line anymore. Cool. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I'm like, excellent. Besides, I'm finding that some of the people over here in the middle of the line are actually pretty cool too. And that's the big thing. Like, all of us get mixed up now. And I'm like, aw, because I grew up in a city that was privileged. The whole city was this way, and now I'm starting to meet such diversity and different people. And I'm like, oh, this is much cooler. I'm liking it better. So that's a good thing. It is a good thing. I don't know. My train was going somewhere on this one.
Oh, I was not going to get in the way.
Bushes over here somewhere.
I figured if I stood right in the middle of the train tracks, I was safe.
Yep, because that train went over here somewhere. Safest place you could be is on the train tracks.
But yeah, it's any case, I know all of our hearts go out to the people who have to live in fear just to be who they are, which is ridiculous.
It is normal.
Being in fear?
No. Yeah, going off the rails. Brent saying, guys going off the rails, which is pretty much normal.
Yeah.
George
before this, I was going to suggest we talk about Thanksgiving horror stories that we might have. If you have any. I know, like I've got cryptids? I don't know. Well, I mean, I got food poisoning one Thanksgiving because someone didn't cook the turkey long enough.
Was that someone you, Troy?
No. They're blood relative, though, but I won't name names. It was one of those, I could cook it at this temperature for this number of hours, or I can increase the temperature and cook it for less amount of time, but didn't tell anybody. So later on, when my brother and I got sick, we're like, what did you do?
What did you not do?
Yeah, you did it wrong. But nobody died, which is good. Which is a possibility with raw birds.
Yes. Raw birds.
That was also the same Thanksgiving where the chef didn't have the oven mitts nearby and tried to use a towel, but the towel hit the bottom of the oven, which was really hot, so it caught the towel on fire. So it was a lot of fun with that.
Nice.
See, I have to cook part of this year's Slapsgiving meal. Oh, okay. Congratulations.
Slapsgiving. Meat thermometer.
Mm-hmm. A really long one, so that way
you know what's so funny? I didn't actually have a meat thermometer in the household until I moved out. My mom just knew.
Your mom?
Yep. She just knew when everything was right. And I'm like, looking back on that, I'm like, that's just terrifying.
I don't know. Well, it's like me with fried chicken. I know when to flip it, and I know when it's done. I don't bother checking it, but that's just because I've made it so many times.
I guess that's probably true. Looking at it kind of that way, like when I cook steaks, I know when they're rare, I know when they're medium rare, I know when they're medium, and I know when they're well done. It's like, for me, it's how much bounce do they have. And it's kind of funny because James, the other day, a while back, James was cooking steaks, and he was like, "Okay, guy, come in here and tell me whether these are done or not." And I'm like, "You don't know either? You don't know?"
Teach them the filling the flesh in between the hand thing.
Yeah, but I just bounce a spoon off of it or something, and depending on how much of a bounce I get off of it, it's how cooked it is. But I mean, that's how I learned to do it from my dad. That's what he did. He just bounce, snap. You know, because Dad was the one that did all the steaks. That was his thing. He also did a killer salmon. I'm not a fish person, but Dad's salmon was pretty good.
Killer salmon, the next sci-fi movie.
Right. Salmon on a plane. Wait.
You can run upstream, but they'll catch you.
But they'll catch you. I've been doing good in class.
Which class are you taking? Oh, the class you're teaching. When you said that, I thought you were taking
teacher.
a class. I hope you're doing well. You're in charge of it.
Teacher. One of my kids gave me a candy bar. It was cool. I think he's trying to bribe me, but it's all good.
Trying to kill you. Now, was it $1,000 because that's a pretty good bribe?
That's true. That'd be cool.
Or a payday. You then make it like really
chocolate bar.
Okay, so it wasn't blatant.
It was one of those things. I had made the joke in the very beginning of the class that I was bribable, and so he was fulfilling the joke because he knows darn well that I have no influence over the state of Colorado. So it's like, can't help you at the final test. Which I think was cool though. It was cool. Because during lunch they'll run over to the Walmart and come back, and he came back from the Walmart and he had a chocolate bar for me. That was a dark chocolate bar, and I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool.
When he fails, he's going to come and sue you. I bribed him. He lied to me.
I had one girl was she was talking to her friend after class, and she's like, my friend's in driving school too, and she's in a different driving school, and she's bored. And I told her, ha ha ha, I'm in your class. And I was like, dude, that's pretty cool. So she was rubbing it in, and I was like, hey, that's nice, actually. Weird, but nice. So doing a good job.
Good.
I wish to celebrate that. That's all.
I think this will be Thanksgiving that
draft you into this too.
Well, they have their whole protocols that they have to go through. Otherwise, they'd have me.
Did you finish all the things on your side?
See, that's the protocols. They have these protocols, which means me having to do something. It's not like the first driving job I got was literally an ad in the paper. It said, "Do you like driving? Come make money." I'm like, I hope this is for the mafia. It wasn't for the mafia. But when I went in, they're like, yeah, it's a driving school. We teach driving. I'm like, okay, what do you need me to do? Well, we'll pay you to sit in this classroom for a week, and then we'll pay you to actually teach the classroom after that. I'm like, sure. So it was like a walk-in and I'm hired kind of thing. I could have been a mass murderer.
Maybe we should just have you have a face-to-face meeting with Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to do that, but
yeah, their problem is they're desperate for people, and I'm not desperate for a job. So.
Yeah, but I mean, it's corporate. You got to do all the stupid stuff.
I get it. What were you gonna say, Alex?
I was gonna say, just ask them for lots of money. You want me to teach to drive? Give me more. Fortunately,
I don't think that's within their
that
power.
guy over there named Guy. Excellent.
I would do that if I thought they actually had any power to do that.
Well, and yes, they are looking for teachers, but they're not that desperate for teachers. Yeah. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I think, because I work this job sometimes. It's not like I'm working at all. Although I'm getting much more into it now because I'm working on the curriculum, which is a lot of fun, and redoing the curriculum is cool. But prior to that, I just did the thing, and it was cool.
Mm-hmm. So. Really, I've heard that the old group I used to work with, Chess Wizards, is paying somewhere between $30 and $40 an hour. And I'm like, really? That's gone up since I was. Of course, it's been a long time since I've been there. And I'm like, that's a lot of money for me just telling some kid that he's not putting me in checkmate right.
Oh, I thought you were saying a driving school. I'm like,
No,
oh.
chess wizards teaching kids to play chess. It's my guess is, I guess the parents who want their kids to learn chess are already doing really well off, that they can afford to pay for an after-school club that's ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of things that say chess is an excellent skill that all children should have. Specifically chess, because it teaches a certain amount of abstraction. It teaches them to lose well. It teaches them to win well. Those kind of things. Like all of your normal skills that you kind of need in life. That because there's no, if you're playing chess, you can't really have a tie. There's really, you know what I mean? Like,
well, you can have
you
a
can,
stalemate.
but I mean, it's like
in fact, I've coached some players who were in losing positions. I'm like, look, you're not going to win, but if you do it just right, you'll make it so they can't win. It's really difficult to do, but you got to get it to where their last move they do doesn't put you in checkmate and leaves you with no move that you're capable to do. Because if you can't make a move on your turn because every move you have will put you in check or checkmate, then you're at a stalemate. But yeah, it's fun. It's chess is the only game too where it is the only element of luck and randomness is how you're doing that day and who your opponent might be.
Mm-hmm.
But the game itself, there's a finite number of moves that can be done.
Right.
And if you do a combination of memorizing all of the basic openings and how to counter all the openings, then that's how you get really good at it.
That's where I stopped playing chess.
Mm-hmm. You're like, I got better things to do.
I was getting good at it, and I'm like, this is wow. This got really boring. I'm gonna spend my time B&Eing. I mean, sorry.
That's breakfast and entertainment.
Yes. So
well, you just needed to find better opponents, I guess.
no, I just like once I got to the point where I was getting good enough that I had to start learning all the openings and how to and counters to the openings. I was like,
yeah, it's a steep curve.
Just put a sword in my hand, okay?
Right.
I'll learn those openings for the rest of my goddamn life, because that's what I've been doing for the last few decades.
Well, I mean, and to some degree, you think about swordsmanship is pretty much also very much like chess. It's if they open with this opening, you can counter with this counter, and there's a lot of stuff that's like that. So
it is the sweet science, the sweetest science.
Yeah, it is. It's a good science. Do you know how many classes I've missed? I keep thinking about it because, wasn't at the last class. Wasn't at the class before that.
Yeah, I actually don't think about it that way, or else I'd drive myself crazy, and we wouldn't be friends.
You and me wouldn't be friends?
Yeah. Oh. If I thought about that and just held on to that and kept a ledger in my head of all the people who aren't showing up and blah 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 and taking that shit personally, then I wouldn't have any friends that did sword.
Yeah. There's nothing I could do. I'm working.
That's
what I got.
They'd be failing my perfectionist expectations.
Oh, I see. That's fair. That's on you, though.
Which is why I don't do it.
That's fair. Also fair.
It's like
I was just sitting there going, I'm not actually stressing too much about it. I'm just annoyed. Haven't been able to really there's a lot of things I haven't really gotten back to. I haven't been able to broadcast during the day either because I'm working. But on the flip side, I'm enjoying the job. So
every choice is a sacrifice.
Yep.
Decide on what you want to sacrifice.
It's a good job.
For what?
I'm enjoying it. It's cool. Nothing wrong with that. So let's see. What else we got?
So what are your Thanksgiving plans, or is that secret?
Horror stories. I really don't have that many Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I was gathering that from the response when I brought it up, so I was moving on.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like that depends because, for example, I've never really felt like Thanksgiving. I don't mind Thanksgiving. I enjoy Thanksgiving. I like being together with people, but
so
it's
you never
one
had
of
any of those
things.
nightmare relative situations at Thanksgiving?
Nah, not really. Most of my Thanksgivings have always been relatively small. When you're with everybody when I'm with everybody in Texas for Thanksgiving, it's only a nightmare in that it's like everything when you have a large family gathering, you have to wear your good shirt and you can't, spill stuff on it. And if you do, grandma's going to yell at you, that kind of stuff.
I've always
like
found
all that.
with the larger gatherings, inevitably there's always at least one of those extended family members that decides to start talking stuff that flags them as being racist and politically stupid. And they're like, I'm not going to do what I want to do. I'm just going to leave.
Yeah, it's kind of my civic duty to out a-holes.
Right.
So, depending on, sometimes I remove myself in a situation. Sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Today's not, I knew there was a reason I got up this morning. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't want my actions to affect any of my immediate family members. No, if I stood alone and knew that any repercussions would only come directly at me and nobody else, then I'd go for it. But I don't want it to be like, I'm not going to do that nice thing that guy, that idiot Troy wants for his son, because it's his son. Yeah. So, so play the Game of Thrones thing, When it gets bad enough, I'll just shoot him in the toilet with a crossbow.
Yeah, you win or you
That's
die.
fair.
What's that?
You win or you die.
Yes, you win or you die.
And make sure prior to doing that you choke someone you love to death, but feels bad about it, and therefore makes it okay.
Right, just a little bit, yeah.
See, now that is a prime example of somebody who's engaging in domestic violence who should not have access to a firearm or a crossbow, as the case may be,
or a scarf.
Scarf bow.
Nah,
cross arm.
I like that guy. He played an It.
Yeah.
That's Scarsbow.
Yep. So, are you going to Scarsbow Fair? But I really honestly no. Other than that was either entertaining or annoying, but nothing really nightmarish. And then here in Colorado, generally speaking, we only have Thanksgiving with our people, like our group. So you don't have anything more aggravating than the things that are normally in our group.
Yeah, I don't invite people to my house that I don't get along with.
Right. So
I think this is going to be one of those. I think only twice in my life that I've gone out to eat for Thanksgiving instead of cooking a bunch of stuff, and I think this is going to be one of those because my kids don't appreciate any of the stuff I make.
Oh,
so then it's I know, and it's like I don't want to make an entire turkey for just me and Tara, and I don't really want to make an entire turkey period to begin with. So we saw that the country buffet was advertising. We're like, why don't we just cook the really awesome desserts at home and then go there, and then the kids can have what they want,
right?
And then we can do that. So I think it's going to be one of those kinds of Thanksgivings because we don't have any family coming in town.
Right.
On the flip side, one of the coolest Thanksgivings we ever did was my stepmom went to, there's a hotel on Galveston Island, and she got all of us rooms and everything like that, and we all went to the island, and it was just a big buffet for Thanksgiving, and it was just this huge, and it was pretty pricey. And Dad was there and she was there, and we had the three of us there, and it was cool. And then of course we could go out onto the beach, although at this time of year even Galveston's getting a little cold, but you could at least go out and sit on the beach and enjoy it. You didn't want to get in the water though.
The first time was when Tara and I moved out here. I can't remember the restaurant we went to, but which Star Trek movie came out in 2006?
That 2006? That was
Generations?
Star Trek movie?
Yeah.
Because 09 was it wasn't. There wasn't a Star Trek movie in 06.
Well, you're not talking about here to Colorado. You mean here to like?
Oh, wait, no, 96. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm like,
96. 96 Generations. Yeah.
Generations. Yeah. I thought it was Generations. So we went out to dinner on Thanksgiving and then went and saw Generations.
You're messing with my brain. I'm like,
I am.
06, there wasn't one.
I added.
There wasn't one until 09.
And it's been too long. I've lived here way longer than my brain wants to admit.
I hear you.
It's better.
But you know,
Better to be here.
but if I hadn't lived here, then I wouldn't have been able to enjoy things like Kieran Games.
Right? Or Geekway Homes.
Mm-hmm.
Or your
mom.
Okay, that went well.
Yeah. No, I don't really have any horror stories, you know. I'm stupidly good at like fighting for food and
Food
bolting
fighting.
it and going for more. Because my stepdad is one of 8 kids, and he taught his children the ways of really going, piling the plate, yada yada. Get all
I'm
the
ready
rolls you
for
can
this.
right now,
Mhm.
because there may not be rolls by the time the bowl comes back around.
Nice.
And of course, then of course Neil had to grow up with me and Dad.
That's my
Hey, man,
best.
you know those early episodes of Ranma where Yoga and Ranma are fighting over bread? This is totally what I imagine your life was. Like, you're like, and here's some bread. And you're like, and you grab it. There are a lot of Space Force members in because actually the Space Force was based out of Fort Carson, or at least part of it was for the initial piece, and then they moved them up here to Buckley.
You should apply for Space Force, guy.
The uniforms are actually kick butt. I've got to admit, their dress uniforms are pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Not only was that kind of, but I hated the name for so long. I'm still not sure I'm aligned with it. However, Space Force, I mean, it was really cool when NASA was setting up to launch Artemis 1, because they were setting up to launch Artemis 1, and as they were queuing up, the 45th Space Force, which is now the first time we've had Space Force out there, got online. And that was awesome because their entire thing is they're range managers. They're there to blow the rocket up.
I got bad news. You're too old. Cutoff time.
Oh
is
yeah, I
39
can't
years
join
old.
anymore.
That's too bad. You could run circles around them with your NASA knowledge.
I really totally could. I would have joined the 45th. Do they call it a space wing now? I mean, is it a 45th space wing? Because it was the air wing before, when they were Air Force. But now they're Space Force. You know what? Now I need to know.
All right.
Oh, you think there's a topic, Donald? You fool.
You've made your last blunder.
Oh yeah. No? Space wing. That's what they're called.
All right. Delicious space wings with hot sauce.
Fried.
Yeah.
Oh, my drink is gone. I'm sad now.
Space Launch Delta 45.
I still have that barrage.
Nice.
Oh, they've got a new patch. Check that out.
Is it a new DLC patch?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you know it's better.
Are you going to show us? Because you said check it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
Okay. I can't see anything.
He's tiny.
Oh, the 45?
Yeah, right here. It's apparently got a little satellite in orbit. It's kind of cool.
Hunger pangs will go away.
Gobble gobble day. Yeah, we were talking a little bit about Thanksgiving. Apparently, I'm the only one who's had a really horrible experience with Thanksgiving out of the three of us. You got Thanksgiving traditions that you try to make sure you do every year?
Celebrate gluttony.
It's a nice general one.
Yeah, pretty
general
much.
One. I don't know. Let's see. We did have some very specific foods that we had at Thanksgiving for many, many years. And the last Thanksgiving we were down in Texas, Dad helped make as many of them as we could, which was cool. So but the problem is, of course, some of them were really, I didn't like them at all. And it's sad because they were like, traditional recipes sort of thing. But like my grandmother had this, it was made with Sprite, and it was like Jello, but it was made with Sprite, and it turned purple. And everybody in the family loved it, and I really didn't. And it was like, and I hated, but it was like a Coke salad. Those Coke salads that we made in the South, except she did it with 7-Up or Sprite or something like that, so it was clear. And, oh man. I mean, first of all, I have never been fond of Sprite and the clear sodas. I don't like them. That
Crystal Pepsi
is good.
Not
that you can use with Crystal from Pepsi.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, so it was a thing. Anyway, that was one. There was always like really interesting cornbread, but I'm again not a very big fan of cornbread anymore because just kind of burned out on it. So it's like a lot of these foods were all traditional in our family, and then I'm like,
Yeah, we make our own cranberry sauce, which is delicious, and we also tend to watch shortly before Thanksgiving. We always do a viewing of Adam's Family Values.
Nice. Fair. I try to watch at least the play scene, if not the entire film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what year this became a tradition for Tara and myself, but I know the first year that they did it was 1991, which is the year Tara and I graduated. But they started doing yearly Turkey Day on the Comedy Channel for Mystery Science Theater 3000. And so now every Thursday, they just do a marathon of MST3K stuff. And it's now on something called Shout Factory TV, which is free to get to on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But we try to at least have that running in the background throughout the whole day while we're preparing food and stuff.
Yeah. Pumpkin pie, good.
Mm-hmm.
Pecan pie, good.
Tara makes
pecan bourbon pie, good.
Tara makes a silk pie out of Hershey bars and marshmallows.
Sweet potato pie, good.
Oh, that's actually really good. That's the sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top of it is one of the things. The yams, the candied yams.
This is just chocolate and marshmallows. No,
I can't get behind that.
Yeah, I it's another one of those family traditions, and everybody loved it, and I was like,
I like a little bit of flavored of pumpkin pie with my whipped cream. It's usually how I end up doing it.
Yeah, fresh made whipped cream, good.
Right. That kind of
dinner rolls, good. Mashed potatoes, good. Butter, good.
We do have news, by the way, that this morning, of course, Artemis 1 entered lunar orbit. And so now Artemis 1 is now getting down into a parking orbit around the moon. It's the first human-rated spacecraft that we've had around the moon since literally I was 6 months old. And so it's like, well, I am 50 years and 6 months old right now, and the last time we had a human-rated spacecraft around the moon was literally 50 years ago. So there's that. But it's got they put little cameras on the end of the solar panels, so it's been taking selfies this entire time because it's got built-in selfie sticks. So it's been taking selfies. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, is that like
that's news?
Pixar didn't happen? What?
What?
So is that like Pixar it didn't happen?
Oh
yeah, sort of. Yeah.
For some reason,
here's me hanging with my best friend, the moon. Yeah.
Yep. Look at me. I'm taking pictures of me and the moon.
I guess the other topic thing is a lot of our friends have been dropping Twitter because of Elon Musk taking it over.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't Twitch connected to Twitter, or is Twitch its own thing?
I don't think so.
Twitch is Bezos bucks.
Okay.
No, what I think is funny about that whole thing is that I still read Penny Arcade, and like months ago when that thing first got announced, they're like, "Oh, what? I'm on Twitter because I have to be. I work here.
Right.
Yep.
You don't have to be on Twitter, and you're here. What is wrong with you? Do you ask the devil to slap you around too?
Mm-hmm.
Come on."
Yep.
Like they actually like made the comparison. It's like it'd be like if Dracula took over hell. Would you even be able to tell the difference? Come on.
Yep.
Yeah, my Twitter presence is barely anything. I created stuff and then never used it, and especially like Geek Tank has a Twitter page, but I don't think we post anything ever on it.
I check a couple things on Twitter semi regularly, and it's all Twin Peaks related. So sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, we're gonna do a viewing of the first of the pilot episode with some of the stars hanging out and talking about it." I'm like, "Yes, I will watch that. Thank you, Thank you, Twitter." Other than that, I'm like, "Whatever, go die in a fire."
Yeah, I mean, I'm with the comic you just said, which just left my mind. But yeah, same thing. I work here.
Yeah, you work.
I don't choose to do this. I work here. I have to broadcast.
Let me see if I can find that comic.
It's a good comic.
But yeah, no, it's yeah, we have a family Facebook, and I'm on Messenger just to keep up with my Mile High Con operations, security and operations crew. That's how they prefer to communicate. Once again, I'm working.
There.
All right.
There's the selfie. So now you have the selfie.
Our last post on as Geek Tank on Twitter was April 7th, 2021. And
yes, because we've stopped broadcasting on Twitter.
We interviewed Dr. McDonald and posted it there.
Yeah, well, and I find it funny because like Brent follows me on Twitter, and like what Brent's sort of saying is that's pretty much all. And that's fair, except that everything that I put out on Twitter is exactly the same and less than I put out on Facebook. So I appreciate your following me on Twitter. I think it's you and like 4 other people.
Probably Geek Tank. Geek Tank probably follows you.
Geek Tank probably follows me. Yeah. That's probably pretty much, and that's the extent of that. So that's cool. I'm sorry I'm not that high energy tonight, guys. I am actually kind of like burning through the energy, but I'm enjoying it. I'm doing a good job. I like my job. So, but it is using up a lot of my resources. So
so I guess
the neck idea of ET from turkeys. I had the little plastic ET with a little extendable head, and I love that guy.
I remember that thing.
That was so cool. That was the coolest thing ever. His arms moved.
Did you ever have the Atari ET game?
I did.
That was a horrible game.
It was a horrible game.
It was
we played it.
Right up there with the Atari Raiders of the Lost Ark game, which was also horrible.
Also horrible. It was kind of the first time we'd really seen hey, we'll get 2 guys who are drunk together to program something because we know we'll make a lot of money off of it. Yep. Kind of killed Atari.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not going to say that I disagree with you there, Brent. I think you're right. I think ET sort of.
No, it was just the worst of the shovelware that was coming out on the 2600. And Atari had the 52 and the 78, and 7800 was actually really good. I had one in the 7800 versions of the games were pretty much arcade perfect. Yeah.
I never had that one. I had the 2600 I got for a birthday, and Yar's Revenge.
Yar's Revenge!
Which was fun for about 10 minutes, and then it's like, well, this is now boring.
Yep.
I remember my sister pulling the cartridge out without turning it off. Like that was like one of our big fights.
Then there's a rip in reality.
Yeah, it's like, oh man. Which makes me think, I don't know if it didn't have a lock in there, did it?
No.
Okay, because my brain seemed to remember like we caused irreparable damage or whatever, but I mean, I don't know, 12, 13, 14.
Now you're supposed to turn it off, and of course, I mean, basically you turn it off, turn it back on again.
Yeah, I mean, it still continued working after that. So it wasn't like she blew it up, but in my memory, you have these weird little traumas, and like they don't make any sense. And in my memory, it was like, what'd you do that for? Oh,
You broke it.
You broke it.
Yeah.
It's a
Oh,
horrible
grandma
person.
had the Atari for the grandkids to play. Yeah. Our mom, as much as we sat on the machine all the time, my mom bought like a trackball because she was like awesome at Centipede. So
Yeah, oddly enough, Dad and Frogger. Like, Dad was the best at Frogger. That was and it was funny to watch him play Frogger. Because he'd sit there, and the way he'd hold the joystick, he'd hold his hands like this and just tap, 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 tap back and forth, like he was tapping the joystick back and forth like this, and forward and back. It was the weirdest thing, the way he handled it, because it was almost like he was afraid he'd break it. So and then, and of course because this was a long time ago, he'd have a cigarette right here, while he held it. So the cigarette was tap, tap, and it was, in my head, I can just remember him. And it was like it was the weirdest way and he was so funny about it.
that's how it's done, son.
That's how it's done. Yeah, but he was so funny. Like the thing is that he'd get so tickled by it getting run over, the sound that it made, that noise. He would start laughing and he would giggle like he'd start high-pitched giggling, and it was like he was like, I'm just such an 8-year-old right now.
You should have got him the PlayStation in the first Tomb Raider, because he'd have done the same thing every time, running into a wall.
Yeah,
that sound that she made. So for speaking of classic games, there's a place that's back open again. They opened a few months ago after being shut down for a long time because of the pandemic. Channel 3 Retro Gaming Center. They're located right there at it's like Carr and what was that? Colfax
and Carr.
Yeah, Colfax and Carr. But my kiddo loves that place. It's like $12 to get in. All the games, but the pinball games are free to play after that. It's because they're set for infinite play. But I like it because it has Karate Champ, which is a game I really like. Just because when you hit someone, it sounds like a board breaking, and then the judge is like full point, half point kind of thing. So that's a good nostalgia game. And then I broke their Joust game. I hit the high score over the point that the whole machine shut down.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, I guess I probably should stop before I get there. But the guy who worked there came over and was like, you're really good at this game. I'm like, yep, I played a whole lot as a kid.
I remember playing the shit out of Joust.
Yeah.
Joust was awesome. Joust was the best. But yeah, that's a thing. There's like this retro, you can buy it where it has all the games inside it and everything's built into the joystick.
Plug and plays.
Yeah, and I think all it has is just a single. Yeah, it just has 2 out jacks. They're RCA out jacks. That's it.
Yeah, whenever Terrence sees us at Goodwill's, he'll buy them.
Well, I mean, even if you're not, I think that they're like a total of, I don't know, $12, $14. They're not really expensive.
Yeah, well, that's why when he finds them for $3, he buys them.
The games or these little joysticks?
The little joysticks. Like he has 2 different SpongeBob ones.
Oh, so they make more than just this one, which has like everything in it?
Yeah. Because it's the plug and play stuff. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's totally easy to emulate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, what was it? Somebody, I saw a post the other day where it was talking about Measure of a Man, which is a Star Trek episode where they try to judge whether Data is a living sentient being or not, right? That's exactly the episode. You got it. And so they ask one of the questions they ask is how fast he processes data, processes information. And his response is something in the order of like 30 or 50 petaflops, right? Which at the time in 1988 was something like 6,000 times faster than the fastest supercomputer on the planet. But now is something like 500 times slower than our phones. It's like we not only have blasted past that number, but we blasted past that number in a massive way.
I'm not sure what triggered that.
What?
I don't know what triggered you off onto that.
Well, I guess what I was thinking on this one was I'm looking at this joystick, which has all the Atari games inside the joystick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an Atari joystick, and everything the Atari, all of its games, all the cartridges is now squished inside the joystick.
Oh, okay.
The piece of the joystick.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there going, just thinking about, 13-year-old me going, how did you do that? You know what I mean? Like, just mind-boggling on that one.
Right.
Yeah, I heard a thing a few years ago that's like the sum total of human knowledge and experience, if it was digitized, would fit on micro SD cards in a soda can.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the fact that micro SD cards use scary subatomic math to store data, that'd actually be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, they use scary subatomic math, which means that if you leave SD cards for long enough, they will start Schrodinger's cat your data until the data starts disappearing. Heisenberging the data until it just vanishes. So
yeah,
it'll Heisenberg it. So that's what made me think of it. I was like, like this is all the games into this joystick thing. And then I was like, well, I guess that makes some sense. The data was, that same thing. There's so much. 1988. Now it's like, not really. So I have been watching us bleed viewers off, by the way, since I started rambling.
Thanks, guy.
I know, I'm like totally like bleeding off the viewers. So, there's the Penny Arcade comic. Gotcha.
So I was gonna talk to you another time because you're going straight into your other show after this guy.
I am.
But I was gonna talk to you about your Thanksgiving plans with Mariah because last time she asked us, I got the impression that she was fishing to see something else to do. That day.
No, we're good. We're gonna go hang out with Eric.
Okay.
So
we're going to invite you guys over for pie and board games and stuff, but you have plans.
Board games. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. We've been drafted to Eric's house.
Yeah, no worries. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Usually it is. I get to hang out with all of the French family, and actually, sometimes it's the only time I get to hang out with those guys.
Poker.
Yeah, go play poker. Hope you win.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Right? So.
Fun. I'm guessing you got family and stuff in town, Alex? Or
in-laws.
In-laws.
Going to the in-laws.
Supercomputer.
Should be good. Delicious food.
Awesome.
Delicious food. That's the important part, really. It just kind of boils down to. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because we don't have anywhere to be until Thanksgiving dinner, right now we're Lauren and I are planning on going out dancing.
Fun.
Hopefully we can keep that enthusiasm going through tomorrow evening. So
that's awesome.
Yes, it'll be the first time we'll go out dancing together in a long, long ass time.
I was going to join you. I may not now. I'm starting to regret my life choices.
Okay.
We'll have to see.
He says this, and then like the rude me is like, "Were you even invited?"
Yeah.
He was.
Okay.
But no, but he says like he doesn't want to go anymore, and he's being all cryptic.
Oh no. The medication that I'm on that helps the joints not be inflamed has been helping. I am not actually in crippling pain right now. However, I do feel like I have gone hiking every day up like 3 or 4 mountains. Is that kind of soreness through my whole body because I'm able to stay, usually before I wasn't able to walk all day without really doing a number. And now I've been able to be animated. I've been moving. I've been, enacting things in class and, all the things. It's been fun, which is how I keep my kids entertained and teach them the information. And so, but it also means that I have been pretty much on my feet all since, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and, tomorrow. And then I'll be doing it again on Wednesday at a different location. So I've got 5 straight days of 8 hours of standing and walking and doing stuff. So no, but today I was doing staying alive. So there was that.
And then you can do the turkey trot on Thursday.
So I was, because I have zero shame. And so I have absolutely no problem whatsoever with, doing all the funny acting out and making silly noises and everything like that. And the kids love it. So, but I was actually saying this, like I was thinking this, I was like, Ivy really is just like me with no locks. Usually I like have all these lockdowns to keep me from being super weird in the real world. And I have just made a character who is just really me without all those social locks down. Because I go into class and I'm like, okay, now we're just gonna be weird.
Yeah, Ivy is Guy's D&D 5e character in the campaign we're
For
playing.
those who don't know. And is Thanksgiving going to get in the way of this Saturday's game for anybody that you know?
No.
Of? Okay. I was assuming not, and then I realized maybe I shouldn't assume.
Right.
Because you know what that does? That makes
incorrect guesses out of things.
Yeah.
It makes an SU me.
It looks like I'm going to have to leave Hanamus early to go to Sensei training next month.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. I should still be able to orate.
Fair.
Karaoke 3 times a week. Good on you. Karaoke, awesome.
Yeah. We really need to.
You're dragging that out.
Well, yeah, because I was going to say we really need to do more karaoke.
Well, the local place that some of the people preferred shut down.
Correct.
They don't want to do in public karaoke, so that means they can't be part of it if we go to other places.
It's also fair.
At some point, Randy and I are going to go to the place that Monique runs karaoke.
I was talking about
Blushing Blue, I think it's called, because she's awesome, and I want to support her.
She is awesome, but I mean, I just hate. I mean, it's always a mixed bag with strangers, but honestly, I just want to sing more. I don't want to listen to a bunch of. I want to sing more. I want to see my friends sing more. I don't want to hear a bunch of other fucking randos sing more. Fuck them.
That's actually kind of the way I'm feeling too. It's like I'd rather figure out how to make it all work here at the house or something, So, well, guys, I got to tootle on.
Yeah, we might as well wrap up since we got
10 o'clock.
Everything we said.
59:14.
In-game karaoke. Yeah, we did a reverse of that where we had everybody sing as their characters at karaoke.
It was awesome.
Yeah. All right. I hope all of you watching have an awesome Thanksgiving. Stay safe out there.
Yep. And I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And I've been Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.